Today I have a big anniversary review for you. This is one of the first thrash metal albums that I ever bought when it came out. I was only 17 years old at the time when I listened to it, and it was unlike anything I had ever listened to before. By now you know what I'm talking about. It is And Justice for All by Metallica. This is my second Metallica album, actually. My first was Master of Puppets. That was the album that made me interested in metal, but this was the album that was darker and heavier, and it was a gateway to other bands like Slayer and Testament. So as always, I will be giving you some background on the album as well as some personal stories about my experiences listening to this for the first time. So And Justice for All is the fourth studio album by Metallica, released on August 25th, 1988 through Electric Records. It is celebrating its 35th anniversary. It was the first album to feature bassist Jason Newsted, who joined the band after the tragic death of the previous bassist Cliff Burton in 1986. The album is known for its complex and progressive song structures, fast tempos, and political and social themes. Some of the songs deal with issues such as corruption, censorship, war, and the death penalty. The album was nominated for a Grammy Award for Best Hard Rock and Metal Performance, Vocal or Instrumental in 1989, but lost to Jethro Tull's Crest of a Knave in a controversial decision.
And the winner is Crest of a Knave, Jethro Tull.
I was actually watching the show when it aired live, and I remember thinking it was a strange win. Even though I like the band Jethro Tull, they're not a metal band. This went down in history as one of the most controversial picks in Grammy history, and goes to show the Grammys don't really know what they're doing. The album had 3 singles. Harvest of Sorrow, that's a great song, one I still love to listen to. Eye of the Beholder, I remember I bought that cassette single for that one back in the day, and One. The latter was the first Metallica song to have a music video, and it featured scenes from the 1971 anti-war film Johnny Got His Gun. The music video was a hit on MTV and helped Metallica gain a mainstream exposure, and the song also won Metallica the first Grammy Award for Best Metal Performance a year later in 1990. That music video brings back lots of memories for me. I saw the premiere, which I believe was that night at Hangbaker's Ball. Back then, MTV didn't really show metal videos in the daytime, except for some bands like Quiet Riot and Def Leppard. The video was very shocking because it kind of told the story and made you think about it, like, what if it happened to you? Would you want to die if you lost your arms and legs and your senses? And, would you know if you were alive or dead? So now let's talk about the elephant in the room. Why did they turn down the bass? There are different theories and explanations on why the bass was turned down on the album, but the most common ones first one is the band was still grieving the loss of Cliff Burton, who died in a bus accident in 1986, and they wanted to distance themselves from his style and sound, and they also hazed the new bassist, Jason Newsted, making his parts inaudible, and they didn't want him to feel like he walked into a perfect situation. I think that's probably why he eventually left the band. I think that always stuck with him. And another theory is the band was just exhausted and burned out from touring and recording, and they didn't really pay much attention to the mixing process. They kept turning the guitars and drums up until the bass disappeared, and they had different engineers in studio, and they worked in different studios on the album, and that resulted in a lack of consistency and sound control and quality. And another theory is that they wanted to kind of make a prog rock album. They were influenced by bands like Rush and Yes, and they focused on complex arrangements and time signatures and dynamics, and they kind of forgot about the groove and melody, and they also wanted to achieve a dry and crisp tone, which sacrificed low-end frequencies. That one I don't really buy, because if you listen to any Yes albums or prog albums, the bass is a major part. So that's just a theory I found online. So anyway, regardless of the reasons, the album remains a classic and influential work of music, and many fans have tried to remix it with more bass or even re-record it with their own bass, and you can find them online, Justice for Jason, and there are different versions on YouTube, so that's they can be found easily. So I'm going to discuss a few songs. I'm not going to go through all of them because it's just going to be a 40-minute video, but I want to keep this under 10 minutes or so. So let's talk about Blackened, a fast and heavy metal song with complex and progressive riffs, solos, drumming. It was co-written by James Hetfield, Lars Ulrich, and Jason Newsted, and it's about the end of the world and death of humanity caused by our own actions. They describe a scenario of nuclear war, environmental destruction, social decay, warning us we're all responsible for our fate and we have to face the consequences of our choices. And the song kind of criticizes the hypocrisy and greed of those who abuse power and exploit the planet. Then there's the title track, Justice for All. It's a critique of inequalities in the justice system. And now they compare the justice system to this predatory animal stalking its prey, exploiting people for their own gain, manipulating them for profit. The song warns us that we're responsible for our fate and we have to face the consequences of our choices. And it criticizes the hypocrisy and greed of those who abuse their power and exploit the planet. And the song has been played many times live. I'm going to show a clip. This is actually from the Mexico City show that I actually saw, and it shows like the Lady Liberty getting taken down. So here's that clip. Now the Shortest Straw is another great song, underrated. It's about 6.5 minutes long and written by Lars Ulrich and James Hetfield. It's about post-World War II times in the USA, how people thought like communists were blacklisted. They called it like the Red Scare. It took place in the 1950s as the government promoted propaganda about the potential growth of the radical left ideologies. And during those times, anyone could easily be a suspect for just disagreeing with the government. So in the lyrics in the first verse, they say, suspicion is your name, your honesty to blame. Then the Red Scare referred to as a modern witch hunt in the songs. Found it interesting, and I didn't notice until I did my research. And then we'll talk about Dyers Eve. I've always liked the song, and I said in all his videos, it was like the song that resonated with me as a 17-year-old, even though in hindsight, I really had it good. I had it like a lot better than I thought. And the song is about James Hetfield's childhood. So he has mentioned in interviews that his parents were very religious and wouldn't let him have a mind of his own and controlled almost everything he did. They disapproved of things. They said they were sins. They also were like a reflection of his childhood, how his parents were absent for the majority of his life after his father left at an early age and his mother died from cancer when she refused treatment, and that was due to her religious views. And there's a whole song about that later on the Black Album called The God Who Failed. So that's a whole other video topic. And we'll talk about Eye of the Beholder. So it's about America is not a free country, despite the First Amendment guaranteeing freedom of speech. You hear that line, you could do it your way if it's just done how I say. So another fun fact, that title doesn't appear in the lyrics during the whole song. Eye of the Beholder comes from the phrase, beauty is in the eye of the beholder, meaning that people see things in different ways. And also, as a side note, one of my favorite Twilight Zone episodes. I love that episode. It's really great with the nurse in the hospital. But anyway, supposedly Lars doesn't like the song. He said it felt like forced because of the two different tempos. And that's all. I'm going to end this here because otherwise this could be like a 20-minute or 40-minute video. So let me know your thoughts on the album, what you thought about it, what you listened to it. Thanks for watching, and let's take another Metallica-related video right there. I have a bunch of them. I also have a playlist of all my Metallica reviews and stuff. So you can find all that on my channel. So subscribe if you haven't. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.